The bodies certainly seem to be piling up, in the Low Country. I mean, first you got Mallory Beach, then Maggie and Paul, and now another death seems to be unaccounted for.
When Maggie and Paul were killed, everybody connected it back and started that rumor mill again about how the Murdaugh family may have been involved in Stephen Smith's murder just a few years previously.
The night of July 8th, 2015, Stephen Smith was driving home. He was coming home late at night, at 2 o'clock in the morning, and his car broke down on a very dark stretch of road about 3 miles from Alex and Maggie Murdaugh's home at Mazzell. And supposedly what happened is he began walking down a dark country road to his home, and something happened. Some truck driver was driving down the road, and the truck driver called 911.
Hampton County 911, where's your emergency?
Hello, I just going down the Crockerville Road. I see somebody laying out in the road. Somebody going to hit him.
Stephen Smith, 19 years old, was found dead, lying in the middle of Sandy Run Road.
My name is Sandy Smith, and I'm Stephen Smith's mother. I was on my way to work in Hampton on the car. I heard on this radio station that there was a body thrown out of a car on Sandy Run. Didn't think nothing about it. Stephen is a twin, and his sister's name is Stephanie. And later on, she called me, and she said, by the way, did Stephen spend the night with you last night? And I knew right there that that was my baby in that road. My heart started pounding and went straight to my stomach. And it was like, it just started shaking. It's devastating. It's hard to move on from that. We were first told that it was a gunshot wound. Later, we were told that he was beaten by a blunt object. Then the final cause was pedestrian versus vehicle. While he was walking to get gas, well, he had his cell phone and his key in his pocket, but his wallet was still in the car. So how are you gonna get gas with your wallet still in the car?
The pathologist reached the conclusion that Stephen Smith was hit by a car and killed, and that it was a hit and run. But his clothes weren't ripped. His sneakers were still on. He had a couple of abrasions on his hand, on the inside of his arms, but the lion's share of his injuries were to his head. If you're ever hit by a car, you would have broken pelvis or broken knees. You would be thrown a long way, and you would tumble, and your clothes would rip. Shoes just get blown off your body. So it almost looked like Stephen was hurt or wounded or killed somewhere else, and he was laid down there. The investigators do interviews. Kids that they went to school with blamed Buster for Stephen's death. And that's why the Murdaugh name starts to be interwoven in the investigative file.
I did hear a few names, but I don't want to, say it over the phone. The only name that was given to me was the murder name.
For 6 years, Sandy Smith was a mother who lived without an answer of how her child died.
Stephen graduated from Wade Hampton High School in 2014. He knew Buster as a classmate.
Buster Murdaugh is Alec and Maggie's older son. To the public, Buster looks like he's sort of this quiet kid. He wasn't a bad seed like Paul was perceived to be. Buster's sort of seen just as like uber snobby.
Before Stephen passed away, He did tell me that he was fixing to go deep sea fishing. And I said, oh, cool, who are you going with? And he said, a friend. Said a prominent friend. I said, oh, okay. I said, where are you going? He said, Key West. Never thought about it until somebody told me that there was a bunch of pictures posted of the Murdaughs in Key West deep sea fishing. Then it was like, is there some kind of connection here?
People would pick on Stephen for being gay. So then, you know, you kind of figure out that's not how people in Hampton think you should be. Stephen never hid who he was. He was always who he was, regardless of who liked him and who didn't.
He knew we loved him. We supported him in whatever he did.
That's looked down upon by a lot of people in Hampton County and in the South.
There is yet another case tied back to this family that has gone unsolved for years. And it wasn't until Paul and Maggie's murders that investigators gave this case a closer look.
Social media seemed to be on fire about connections between Buster Murdaugh and the Stephen Smith death. But even though there were tips that had come in, he was never interviewed in the case and wasn't charged either.
SLED made it sound like they found something that would implicate Buster or Alec in Stephen Smith's death. And that ran like wildfire. And it was so defamatory to Buster. He's been through so much, and these rumors just kept building. This is Maggie Murdaugh's Facebook page, and some really sick comments. Buster is gay, and his father either knew or was about to find out, and poor Stephen's death was ignored. A, this is so not true, and B, so disgusting, and C, I mean, why would someone go on Maggie Murdaugh's Facebook page with her family and desecrate it like that? I mean, it's a desecration. To this day, SLED won't come out and say Buster had nothing to do with it. And yet, he's been twisting in the wind. During the investigation, Buster's name came up a few times. The highway patrolman, he can't even identify the original source for Buster's name. And it was just rank speculation. People were trying to associate Buster with Stephen Smith, which there's no connection whatsoever.
Well, we're aware of no credible evidence that would link Buster Murdaugh to the death of Stephen Smith.
We have a wooden cross where Stephen was found, and it has Stephen's name on it. I want everyone to see it because there's somebody out there that knows something. I want you to remember where my son took his last breath.
Now that the details of Stephen Smith's death have really resurfaced, right on the heels of Paul and Maggie's death, the suspicions in this community are really starting to percolate. And Buster and Alec seem to be on trial in the court of public opinion. And their dynasty is sort of on the edge.
So basically every day, we're waiting to hear if somebody's going to be arrested for the murders of Maggie and Paul. But then Labor Day weekend happens. And now we have the man at the center of it all getting shot at.
Hampton County 911 was an emergency.
I got a flat tire, and I stopped, and somebody stopped to help me. And when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me.
As if the murders weren't crazy enough, now another member of the Murdaugh family has been shot.
Oh, okay. Were you shot?
Yes, I'm bleeding a lot.
What part of your body?
I'm not sure, somewhere on my head. I'm bleeding pretty bad.
What's your name?
Alex Murdaugh.
Andrew Davis out here in Hampton County right now with the story that really everybody is talking about.
My initial reaction was, is everybody being targeted? Then you get on scene and you start to understand what's going on.
It was somewhere after 1:30 today. He claims he was on the side of the road trying to change a tire. Two men came up and then opened fire on him.
Do we have a serial killer on our hands? Do we have someone who's targeting this family specifically, and why?
Alec gets shot in the side of the head. And there's an entrance wound right behind the ear and an exit wound sort of in the rear of the head, but it didn't kill him.
Once Alex sits down with SLED agents to give them more details about the shooting, he also gives them a detailed description of the suspect. Based on this, police put together a sketch of the assailant who allegedly shot Alec.
When they held that mugshot up, I mean, I was just in shock because at a glance, my first thought was he was trying to describe my son. And it went viral. I mean, somebody took one of Anthony's pictures and put it beside this sketch and saying, looks like he was trying to point the finger at Anthony the whole time.
Immediately, the internet starts going crazy. There was a lot of doubt out there. Everything seemed suspicious, and the public was definitely seeing it.
Just 2 days after this mysterious and bizarre shooting, Alex Murdaugh announced that he was entering rehab for a drug addiction that he'd been struggling with for several years.
Alec had a severe opioid addiction. He'd been to detox a couple of times, but he'd never gone on to the rehab portion of treatment. And I think at Paul's boating accident and Paul's charges and the stress of that, I think that just sent him into further addiction.
As we continued to cover the Murdaughs on News Nation, we were just stunned by how many layers continued to be peeled back on this story.
Alex Murdaugh found his wife and son dead 3 months ago, and then just days ago, he says he was shot in the head on the side of the road. Now he is accused of stealing money from the powerful law firm that he helped create.
Alex Murdaugh's law firm alleged that over a period of 9 years, he had made $14 million, but he had stolen $7 million at the same time.
Now, Alex Murdaugh has been accused of financial crimes. And this is where social media really kicked in. And now they're hooked. So we were wondering, why isn't he getting arrested for this? Why isn't he being charged? And then we started to hear that there was a suspect in the shooting. So that became another explosive thing.
Overnight, investigators announced charges in connection to the shooting of Alex Murdaugh. South Carolina law enforcement officers arrested 61-year-old Curtis Smith for the roadside shooting that sent Alex Murdaugh to the hospital on September 4th.
Curtis Eddie Smith was a distant relative of Alec. Over time, they became friends, and Eddie was able to get Alec, drugs, opioid pills.
The big question on everyone's mind, why would Curtis Eddie Smith want Alex Murdaugh dead? Within a day of Smith's arrest, there were already people on social media who had their doubts about this attempt on Alex Murdaugh's life. People were already questioning whether this was a weird, sort of dark ploy by Alex Murdaugh himself. But then a recorded interview between SLED agents and Alex Murdaugh reveals the real reason behind this roadside shooting, and social media explodes when this new info comes to light. Just days after the roadside shooting, SLED Senior Special Agent Ryan Kelly conducted a telephone interview with Alex Murdaugh. His lawyers, Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin, were present. It was recorded, and there was a bombshell confession.
Curtis Eddie Smith is the primary person who
I purchased pills from for years.
And some weeks you would give him how much money for pills?
We had weeks where there would be $40,000, $50,000, $60,000.
Alex spent more money than he had on drugs, and that caused him to steal money to support his drug habit. He was writing checks for drugs.
I told him that things were getting ready to get really bad and that I would be better off not here. And I asked him to shoot me. And I think at first he was a little surprised, but then he said, okay.
Did you pay Curtis any money for this?
No, sir.
I'm gonna be honest, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I understand. I told him to follow me out and that I would make a flat tire and he would go past me and turn around and come back and do it.
So what was your intent?
For him to kill me. I thought that it would make it easier on my family for me to be dead. I have a fair amount of life insurance.
Do you remember how much?
Not off the top of my head, but like $10 million, $12 million.
So your intent was to have him kill you so you could collect your life insurance, right?
So my son could. I mean, I knew I was about to lose everything, and I figured he's better off that way.
If you believe Alec, he needed Cousin Eddie to help him take his own life, to get insurance money for his son. Not everybody believes that story. Some believe that Alec was hell-bent on making it look like Eddie was not only trying to kill Alec, but trying to kill his entire family.
He shot me.
Where did he shoot you?
He missed and hit me in the very back of the head.
I do think he was feeling desperate. The number one most important thing in the Murdaugh family is preserving power and wealth. And so, at the very least, I can leave this legacy to my surviving son.
Curtis Eddie Smith gets arrested, and he's charged with conspiring with Alec. And to this day, he still has these charges hanging over his head. Eddie's story is that Alec asked him to shoot him, and Eddie didn't want any part of that, and either the gun went off accidentally or he accidentally knocked Alec over and Alec hit his head on the ground. So we don't quite know what happened.
To this day, Smith denies ever being Alec's drug dealer or ever even being a drug user himself.
Alex Murdaugh, one of the most powerful men in South Carolina, turned himself into police today.
The big thing on social media about the roadside shooting came up when Alec appeared in court in Hampton County for bond hearing. He was charged with insurance fraud and submitting a false police report.
Tonight, Alex Murdaugh out of jail and back in rehab. The once prominent attorney granted a $20,000 bond this afternoon and released on his own recognizance.
So that turned even more people against him specifically. Well, maybe he would then commit murder. What else was he doing to other people in Hampton County?
We started doing a lot of research into what other things that the Murdaughs might have been involved in. Then we found this obituary that showed Gloria Satterfield, the longtime housekeeper of Alec and Maggie Murdaugh, died under suspicious circumstances as well.
Where's your emergency? 4147 Moselle Road. What's going on out there? My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up. Where'd she fall from? She's still going up the steps, up the brick steps. She's on the ground. She's on the ground. Is she conscious? No, not really. Well, I mean, she's mumbling.
Gloria was rushed to a hospital. She had an internal brain bleed, and she had 12 broken ribs. And she died 3 weeks later There was a petition in December of 2018 that asked court approval for the Gloria Satterfield $500,000 settlement. After her death, there was a claim made, and a lot of money was recovered by Alex Murdaugh. And none of the money went to the Satterfield family. I've never had a case where an attorney took every cent from a client. And, you know, quite frankly, I was in disbelief.
Once the news surfaced of another death connected to the Murdaugh family, and this one with financial swindling, social media just lit up, and everybody seemed to have a theory.
The Gloria Satterfield case ended up being a $4.3 million settlement. And we're not just talking about this one settlement.
He stole from not only the Satterfield family, but for a full 16 years, Alex Murdaugh was stealing from other clients. It's sad because his victims, they're people who come to the Murdaugh law firm in the most distressing of times. Alex was able to prey on these people because they didn't know any better, which is shameful. It's one of the worst financial abuses I've ever seen.
We know that there was money and that the clients didn't get it. So why isn't he getting arrested for this? So there began to be more calls online for law enforcement agents to do something.
South Carolina's law enforcement division arrested Alex Murdaugh in Florida right after his release from a drug rehabilitation facility in Orlando. He's accused of stealing $4.3 million in insurance settlement money from Gloria Satterfield's son.
And then in October of 2021, he just left his rehab and he got arrested in the Satterfield case. So that was the last day of freedom that he had.
We obtained arrest warrants of Alec. We needed to get him in custody as soon as possible. My name is Creighton Waters, and I was the lead prosecutor in the Murdaugh case. We came out with our first round of indictments against him in November of 2021, and ultimately he received a $7 million bond on those charges.
Alex was charged with and agreed that he stole $9 million. Emily Limehouse, the assistant United States District Attorney, said no. He stole $10.5 million.
That was momentous because we were seeing a Murdaugh in his family's courthouse, basically, in prison garb. So that was huge. There is a certain amount of satisfaction in that.
Right around this time, the Murdaugh saga goes sideways, because SLED makes an announcement that Alex Murdaugh is actually a person of interest in the deaths of his own wife and son, Maggie and Paul.
In June of 2022, we had a meeting with the Attorney General, and we presented the evidence we need to go ahead and charge him. And so he was indicted for the murders in July.
It felt like kind of like a minor victory in the sense that, like, I'm seeing accountability happen.
Alex Murdaugh pleads not guilty, so that means this thing is headed to trial. The number one question, is this guy gonna get off?